episode 28, and we are here with I've heard about him from a good friend of ours, a co-worker of ours, the Super Smoke Bros. I've tried his rubs too as well, from Orlando, Florida. Our friend Josiah calls him Johnny Rad. He was a longtime former competitive barbecuer. He's been competing with the best before from it, and then he went from an executive chef in Napa, all right, to the head of culinary at Four Rivers Barbecue Smokehouse in Orlando, to now an owner of his own beef jerky company. So we welcome to the Super Smoke Bros podcast, Johnny Radcliff. Welcome, Johnny. Thanks for showing up.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Thanks for having me. What a treat.
Yeah, it's awesome. We are excited. I can't wait. I'm so excited, especially talking to you before we went live. So I think, Brian, you want to take it away?
Sure, yeah. So everyone has a story, right? So please share your story if you could for the viewers and into the world of barbecue and smoking meats.
Sure. I'm gonna kind of repeat what I was sharing with you guys earlier. I've been in the food industry my whole life since I was a young man. I was thin and had brown hair once. But by this time I'm getting older and I've been around the country. I've cooked all over, been executive chef, worked out in Napa, and I had one of those old 50-gallon drum grills, right? And I'm like, oh, it's Mother's Day. Mom's coming over. My sister's coming over. Her kids, neighbor moms, and we're gonna have this boondoggle in the backyard. And I made ribs, and they were like the worst ribs ever. And the texture wasn't right. It was like I just misjudged so much. So it motivated me. Like, what do I need to do to learn? And I started getting on barbecue forums, and those guys got me pointed in the right direction and little improvements. But there was a handful of guys that said, listen, if you really want to learn, go to a contest. You're going to meet a lot of really good people. You're going to learn a lot of really good things. You're going to eat a lot of really good barbecue, and it's going to help you understand what that benchmark is. But yeah, that can be, back in the day, there wasn't a lot of backyard categories at these events. So it was pretty intimidating. So we actually went and became a Memphis in May judge first to understand what it was that I'm supposed to be cooking. We became a KCBS, me, my wife, and another buddy that started this whole boondoggle. So it was Memphis in May, KCBS. We went and judged a couple contests. We went to the Memphis in May contest in Memphis as a volunteer. I was like the meat inspector, and you get assigned a team. So you really get to learn what this is all about and see. Now, so you see all this stuff. Well, I, being the cocky young man that I was, what prompted all this was I drove to my first contest in Huntsville, Alabama, and came in dead ass last. So I was looking at what I was doing, and then I get to talk to the different guys, and I was the night guy. I had to stay up all night and run the meet, and then so there's other night guys up, and everybody's kind of walking around. It's quiet, and you get to talking, and I'm just thinking about how much I'm doing wrong. And but it was a learning experience. We all learned, and that's a good thing about being on the bottom. You have no place to go but up. So, and we did accomplish that. We eventually started winning a great deal. So
nice. That's awesome. It's like you shared with us before. Was it the first one? You were next to Myron Mixon's trailer. You were next to him. So that's crazy.
Yeah, it's intimidating. I roll in there with an old beat up tent and this little barrel cooker that we made out of two old oil cookers and slapped it on an old boat trailer. With the axle to this was literally the front end of like a 56 Chevy pickup truck that they just welded it straight. We were pretty primitive, and then you got these big trailers that roll up. They're all custom made, and $20,000 trailers, big shiny F-350s in, and I'm like, you kind of knew what the outcome was going to be. So you better keep your eyes and ears open if you want something positive to happen here in the next 2 days. And it did. It was we made a lot of friends, and I can go on the record, Myron. I hope you're listening, but I know you're not. I have been a Georgia State champion, beating Myron in his hometown.
That's awesome.
More than once, and a Florida State champion a couple times, and but to get to that level, everybody's got a job to do on the team, and so it's not just me. It's kind of like you got your core group of guys, and you got a couple people that support you. And the best part about my story was I managed to do all this with other people's money, mainly.
That's awesome.
Because it's like offshore fishing for rednecks, man. It's not cheap to get out and go cook for 3 days. That's for sure.
No. I love that. That's awesome. I'm gonna send Myron a clip of what you and on social media when I get this thing going. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait.
That guy hadn't talked to me in like 10 years. I think the last time I saw him in person, we were participating in South Beach Food and Wine and festival down in Miami, and they were kind of across the beach. When you set up on the beach, it's very nice. Yeah. It's very sexy, and instead of handing out beers or whatever, you get like a split of Moet Chandon and a turbo straw to walk around the beach and eat barbecue. Like it was insane. The last time I actually talked to him in person was back then, probably 2000 and 2008, 2009. It's a long time. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's great because the average person that watches barbecue shows, they'll know Myron, and to see that your connection with him is awesome.
It's funny. I got another story, so I'm ratting him out a little bit.
I love it.
We were at a contest in, I think it was Bainbridge, Georgia. It was right near Plains, Georgia. We had to drive through Jimmy Carter's town to get to this little place.
Nice.
And a lot of these places, they have, small town stuff. To me, that's what makes it kind of fun, is you're out there with the real people and enjoying yourselves. And there's usually a fair, some kind of festival associated with it. So there's a handful of us that, we would see each other at these events. And, you'd see somebody's truck roll in. You're like, shit, that's another guy I got to beat. But anyway, so Myron's there, and there's a handful of guys that are there, and it's the night guys are showing up, and the Crown Royal's flowing pretty good. And Myron got to talking about, man, I've won Memphis in May. I've done this. I've done that. I got my dad's barbecue sauce company, man. What do I got to do? His phrase was always, I want to get paid. I want to get paid. And I'm like, Myron, to get paid, look, dude, you got the story. You got a little smokehouse in Georgia. I mean, you've got a wonderful story. You need a publicist to help you package this entity. And God knows you're a freaking character. You just need someone to help you put it together. You're going to pay a little bit for it, but it'll probably pay you back tenfold or more,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, this is before all that was happening. Later on that night, everybody's liquored up. We broke into the fair. We went down the slippity slide on potato sacks and, all that stuff. But then next thing you know, 5-6 years later, Myron's on the path. He's getting invited to go on these TV shows and do, people are interested in him in his thing. I was very happy for him because he had invested quite a bit into this. I mean, it's it's like a family heritage thing, and I thought it's pretty awesome. And he's still out there, doing licensing agreements, making products, and opening restaurants. So good for him.
So you kind of catapulted him. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Before I had that conversation, he's wondering, how do I get paid?
Yeah.
No, Johnny
I just gave him the recipe.
Yeah.
Me and Jim Beam.
That's awesome. Oh, Johnny, that's great. So you probably Myron needs to give you a little cut there. You gave him that recipe,
No, man, he's on his own. He's on his Bye, Felicia. You're on your own.
Yeah.
You're doing just fine yourself.
So Johnny here, so can you tell our fans that we have, you've told your story this is awesome. I could just listen to you all day. I just love it. This is why I love talking and meeting the people in the barbecue world. But everyone, one of the things that our fans talk about is they love when our guests talk about what their favorite thing to barbecue is.
Oh, my personal favorite thing to cook. I gotta say, I enjoy making ribs. The way I make ribs is like, it's very unique. It's very unique. So when someone gets their hands on them, they're like, wow. It's like very impactful. It's very impactful. And when you go out there and you go to restaurants, and there are good barbecue restaurants, I don't want to say anything disparaging, and I know how hard it is to run barbecue restaurants. I did that for a lot of years at a very large scale, and it's a hard game, man. But there's a lot of mediocrity that floods the market. That's why you find a barbecue shack that just rocks, right? Mm-hmm. And they become kind of legendary for a while. So it's hard, and I think ribs fall into that category a lot. When you have a good condiment, like a really cool sauce, shredded pork's very forgiving, right? You can. Mm-hmm. It's not hard to make good shredded pork. That is like 200% rub, time, temp, and the stuff you put on it to finish it. Mm-hmm. But ribs, you've got texture. You've got I'm talking about the texture of the meat. How does it pull from the bone? Is it too soft? Is it too firm? So for me and my crew, we made ribs an exceptional art form, and we got pretty good. And then we do good at briskets, but we did mostly on my competitive career path. We mostly did Memphis and May contests. So that's whole hogs, shoulders. We would cook the shoulder, the cut of meat it's a 109 shoulder. So it's the butt and the leg attached. The picnic and butt is still attached. And then we would do ribs. So our team, we developed this recipe, but we had it. Everything was documented. Everybody, we all knew where we had to be. We showed up to a contest, and there's just like a Gantt chart of like, okay, refill beer, go check fire. I mean, it was down, and so my buddy did the ribs because I stayed up all night and did the hogs and butts, and there was a couple of steps that you have to do in the middle of the night and whatever. But for me personally, I'm going rib, man. It's like rib candy.
I'm 100% so intrigued. Yeah, it's like I love all the meats, but my ribs, I'm sure they're not as good as yours, but they're a showstopper. I mean, anyone loves my ribs, kids, adults, doesn't matter. I mean, and I do different flavors typically, and I never feel like I can make enough.
Yeah,
they just disappear.
They get pounded. So it's funny we're talking about this now. Next weekend's Father's Day weekend, and it was that you're talking different flavors is what prompted me to bring this up. Is we live in Florida, right? We have in Orlando, we have a very significant Latino and Latin community. And my son and I were talking, probably a beer or two involved. But we're like, all right, you got mojo pork and mojo chicken and stuff, and we got that pretty dialed in. And I'm like, let's make a mojo rib. It's going to have all the texture and everything's going to be correct for what the rib's going to be like. But we want that citrusy, garlicky. Maybe we'll put a little extra heat and sweet at the end, like we do the other ribs. And so he's on fire. I was supposed to do it with him. I got to go to Texas to make jerky next week, so I get to skip my Sunday. I was all excited about it, but they're gonna make work on mojo ribs. I mean, he was over last night. We were writing stuff down, like you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, and after this step, you're gonna do this. And he's like, I got it. So I'm excited to see what they come up with.
Don't take this the wrong way, Johnny Rad, but I feel like you're my spirit animal. Like you're talking about,
I know.
Bean, beer, ribs. Like that's heat and sweet.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time, and you get it, and these young guys that want to get involved, and they think it's a magic rub, and it's condiments are very important, and you could say it's the brine, it's the this, it's the that. I think if you have an understanding of what makes all that happen, and there is sweet and there's acidity, right? So that's going to apply to a brine, and that what the brine does to the texture of the rib and stuff, and dry seasoning, and then it's kind of like, I used to call it back when I was in a kitchen more. It was kind of like a mind's eye of what you want to create. You have to kind of noodle around enough and fail enough to understand what the balance is of all these different things to get that flavor you want in your mouth, the visual on the cutting board. And it comes with practice. Anybody can do it if you're committed, I mean, you just it takes practice and learn how to run a fire. If you can't run a fire, you're not going to make good barbecue.
Right.
And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but Traegers are for girls.
Yeah. I have an arsenal of smokers. I do have a pellet too as well.
Yeah, everybody does. I mean, it's convenient as heck, man, and it's actually a really good product, and it's set it and forget it. But I got to throw it out there. I mean, you want real good barbecue.
Yep.
Go off a stick burner.
Yeah, it's Brian and I. We both our fabricating class made our smokers for our stick burners for us.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, how cool. Yeah, and so I love firing that up, but if for some reason I can't be around the fire a lot, then I'll throw a piece of meat on the Traeger.
That's it. That way you get to sleep.
Yeah, you get to sleep too. But there's something like there's that nostalgia. I mean, just being by that fire, sitting there watching it. It's so awesome.
It's kind of like being a little bit hard is what makes it for you an accomplishment, and people appreciate you, and for staying up and doing it. My smoker is actually the rib smoker on Myron Mixon's trailer. It's not his smoker, but it's the same company, same model, everything. I actually bought it at a Georgia State Barbecue Championship. They were across the aisle from me, and I go over and like, hey, I want to buy a personal. We eventually bought a big fancy trailer and everything from these boys from Atlanta, but I'm like, hey, I want one for my house, and how about that? And that's what he told me. This was it Papa's Little Cookers or something. It's very simple. It's got a big water pan. It's unique. It's not like a Texas style smoker at all. Very southern style. And at the end of the contest, I gave him a stack of money and threw it in my truck, and away I went.
Nice. That's awesome.
And actually, now that you're talking about it, that's kind of where we're headed next. What's in your arsenal for grills and smokers, and what's your favorite and why? That was a popular meat fest for us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What's your favorite?
Yeah.
So my original smoker was more of a Texas style, with the barrels and the offset firebox and stuff like that. And that was okay, but being the first one, we didn't really know what we're doing in a lot of ways. And then we built another one, me and a buddy, out of a one of those big 1,000-gallon propane tanks, those big monsters.
Yeah.
The nickname of that was Big Mamu. Had it painted on the back of it. And it was almost too big. But one of the things that's pretty awesome about those propane tank cookers, don't let them fool you. They cook really well, and if you can get someone to build it, it's a good starting place because of the thickness of the steel, just the amount of steel that goes on it. That was one of my favorite ones, but me and my buddy had a falling out, and I lost it in the divorce. The principle that was on, we competed a lot in Memphis in May, and the style of cookers that win a lot. I mean, we weren't using a lot of pride. We were in it to win it. It's like NASCAR. If that car's doing it and he's winning, I'm doing it. So there was some guys back in the day that were building trailers for a handful of competitors. So we did that. We had a big hog cooker put on, a rib cooker, and then a shoulder cooker, front, back, and side. And the principle on this is that you've got air dampers front, back, or side to side on the cookers, and you have a door with an air damper and your firebox, and there's air control on the bottom, so you can also rinse it out. But then there's a big water pan, and so when you're cooking, you're sucking moisture out of that box. You're drying everything out, and so this is constantly creating a moist environment in the cooking area, and those work really, really well to get your texture going. You get those things up, 2 1/4. For us, we get the color right, and then we blind them up a lot of times. So we'll in competing, you wrap it up in a piece of paper, or you wrap it up for our hogs, we'd go to the Walmart and get a cotton bed sheet, and we'd do the whole pig in a sheet. And then when you'd season it all up and pump it, and when a certain time, we kind of do a little rip and look at what's going on. But when you open it, that thing's running 21, 22 hours, and you open it, it's golden brown. I mean, it's so pretty. You know how pigs come out and they're all black and not sexy? Not my pig, baby. You're going to want to have some of my pig. It was good. But anyway, I love that Southern style. I think my wife and I are getting ready to put in we don't compete anymore, so we don't need a big smoker and all that. And I think our little outdoor kitchen we're gonna put in I was in Greece, and they have a lot of outdoor ovens, and it's not just for cooking. They put little racks in there and roast meat, but it's all done with wood. So I'm gonna put in a little outdoor oven and a big green egg.
Oh, nice.
And again, you put a handful of charcoal in a big green egg, you can go take a pretty good nap. But
yeah, we can. Yeah.
So that's where I'd go with that. That's my path so far.
I'm going to go off script here a little bit, because you mentioned more of a Southern style water pan in your smoker. Now, for like just a backyard person getting into smoking, would you recommend like putting like a pan of water in their smoker?
200%. 200%. I was a culinary director for a pretty large company, and one of the reasons that we had a barbecue competition team was to kind of get out there and rub elbows a little bit, and you learn from different guys. And and we did accomplish this. What did we learn on the street that we could bring home? And in this company, we used a lot of Southern Pride cookers, which are good, gas oven, set it and forget it. Stick burners as seasoning, are those, stick burner, and it's like an oven, a rotisserie oven. But when you use those, wood sticks are more like a seasoning element. So do I use 2 sticks, 3 sticks? What kind? How green does it need to be? Whatever. I digress. So a water pan. I know guys that use those smokers, and there's one old Southern company. There's not as many of them around anymore as there used to be, but they would take, for those of you that don't know, the big cans that you see in, green beans come in at Costco or whatever, right? That's called a number 10 can. And they put 2 or 3 number 10 cans of water in that burner area so that moisture goes up and in there. Well, what we did was when that rotisserie comes down like that, we would put a couple inches of water in the whole thing.
Oh.
And you had a lot of moisture going into the environment, and it makes it super easy to clean. And we were, given the size of our organization, we had to be spot on with all the sanitation and stuff. So it helped us in a food quality and then sanitation and safety as well. But I highly recommend putting a water pan, whether it's a Weber grill or the Weber smokers. There's a reason that they have water pans in there. And here's another tidbit that might be fun for the listeners. It's like, okay, water and moisture. So, you go into somebody's house at Christmas time and they're burning, or little Susie's got a pot with, little cinnamon sticks and cloves simmering on the burner, and it puts that element, right? So that's a flavor ingredient. That's something, when you put that in your environment, you can use that to capitalize on your stuff. So in barbecue, listeners, all your flavor, the bulk of your flavor is going to go in that first 2 hours if you want it to really deeply penetrate into the meat. You want it to get past the smoke ring, it's going in 2 hours. That's a good gauge. Don't take me to court. A little more, a little less. I'm no food scientist, but I've licked my finger plenty of times. You know what I'm saying? So what we used to do was, in those big water pans in our competitive cookers, we would go and get pickling spice, and you put that in and you bubble that, and it kind of, the word they like to throw around, all the foodies throw around today, umami.
Yeah.
So if you get some pickling spice, put it in a pot in your house, and you can see what kind of flavor that's kind of on. So it's like, it's bay leaves, it's juniper, it's all these different savory elements, right? It's very savory. So we would put, I think we put in our big pig cooker, we put like 8 cans of apple juice concentrate and 2 cans of pickling spice. And you could smell the cider and the herb coming out the stacks. And, now a couple hours down the road, 3-4 hours down the road, the water's starting to get dirty, all that whole thing. So that smell goes away, but you have incorporated that subtle flavor into what you cook, and it goes. And again, I'm trying to win that $12 trophy, man.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
So you do whatever it takes to get ahead of that guy next to you, So don't be afraid. We've done stuff like fresh thyme, lemon rind, citrus rind. So take advantage of that water and steam element. Don't let your water pan run dry with a bunch of crud in there, or you just ruined everything. And it may be that after those couple hours, you reach in there with your tongs and just get rid of that, and just keep your water pan full after it's served its purpose. So there's my 2 cents on.
That's awesome.
Water. If you're not adding moisture, you're selling yourself short. You're making your life harder than it needs to be.
Great tip.
Yeah, I always throw water in there, whether I'm doing brisket or pork or pork shoulder ribs, whatever. I always have a water pan in there, but I haven't put the elements of spices, like you said, in there, which I'm
give it a whirl, man.
Yeah.
Start basic. Like, you guys heard beer can chickens, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So when I make beer pan chicken at the house, you get the bud can or whatever, and you knock all the holes in the top of it. I stuff that. I drink half the beer, and then I put like thyme, garlic, onion, and lemon in the beer can. Or if I don't have time, I might use rosemary, and then put the chicken butt on there. But it's seasoned with. I tend to use a lot of like savory spices versus tradition. They'll call it poultry seasoning, right? That's for poultry seasoning on the exterior versus barbecue seasoning on a chicken. And I run them a little bit hotter so the skin gets crispy. Now smoked chicken gets kind of Run them hot. Run them hot. The moisture will keep them from drying out too bad.
Run them hot.
It's a great tip. I'm going to do that on Father's Day.
Yeah, I just wrote it down too.
It's kick ass, man. Put some citrus. Play with it a little bit. It's awesome.
So, Brian, do you have our next question? Or you want me to go on?
I think you're on. I think you're up.
Okay, so as we've been Johnny, as we've been moving on with our podcast, one of the besides what you just did, those tips our fans like is they love when they hear about something that didn't turn out quite right. Is there any like memorable one or instance where you had something just not turn out and it was disappointing and maybe what you learned from it?
Yes. So listeners, we all have those days. Even, you're trying to be as thorough as you can be and you just miss. So I'm going to talk about some of my experiences, and a couple of my buddies have had some
awesome
horrific experiences, and other friends, we have witnessed some silliness going on. So we've had a rookie guy supposed to be, I said everybody's got a job, right? And he's supposed to be watching the water pans, and our trailers had little areas where you stick your finger in there and you could see how much water you had in your pan. Well, he forgot to do all this. He caught a pan on fire and torched up the ribs. And it's just, if you do what you're supposed to do, it's not, but at that point, what are you going to do? Because it smells like burnt grease, and you only got so many hours to go. So that's not like a super train wreck. We've had things like, this is a big deal. These hogs are like fresh killed. I mean, you want to get the good whole hog, you got to go make friends with the 4-H guy, So when little Susie wants to kill her hog, that's my hog. And because, it's been a pet, it's been cared for. They're big, so these things dressed were like 200 pounds when we're throwing them on the grill. I mean, they're heavy. And sometimes if you're not super careful, you can't, to win, you can't have your pig dry out. Like we cut them. So like, here's your animal, and you cut them down the spine, tap, 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 and it kind of lays out. And you don't want to go in too far. You want it to be like a big bowl. But, and then we season it up, pump it up and everything. And if we manhandle it, you get one little tear in that exterior of skin. That's gone.
Oh, wow.
That's a big nay-nay. We have had a trailer fly off the back of the truck. That's a horror story. That's not cooking though. All of a sudden our trailer's sliding down the interstate in the grass, and we're just like, oh shit, man. Nothing happened. It got wonky.
That's good. That's good. It's nuts, man.
But I mean, I think everybody makes mistakes. Falling asleep. Like we had a guy that had a rookie night guy. I mean, it's all about running the fire, right? This stuff's on there for 12, 16, 20 something hours. And that guy better be on his game. I mean, your whole team's counting on you, So this guy got liquored up, and he's like, well, I'm going to just overfill it. And he smoked everything up and didn't put the stuff in the blinds. So everything was pitch black in the morning, and basically got kicked off the team. And we had another guy. He fell asleep, and I don't know what he was thinking. But it's like moving the whole hog around, and like this half-cooked hog fell out of the grill down on top of him into his chest. I have no idea. He was a total. He was a total Guggen. I can tell like this is like number one, or number two, and whatever. So I mean, we're all gonna make mistakes. We're gonna all overcook. We're gonna undercook. And it's just part of it, Mm-hmm. The more laps you swim, the stronger you get.
That's good. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Oh man, yeah.
Another popular question we always get is like, what's your go-to temperature? Because like, there's definitely like even between Z and I, have a little difference in philosophy with that. And then, do you have any advice on how to maintain that temperature?
I do, because I personally feel that, especially if you're running a stick burner, mm-hmm. This is the skill. Like, how do I maintain that 2 1/4? Mm-hmm. How do I start it at this temperature and lower at that temperature with my grill? You've got all these different air vents, and mm-hmm. you got the water pan up and down and all these different things, and the moisture content and the wood that you're running. I mean, you've got a lot of variables that, and I don't want to sound like a total geek, but they all count. They all mm-hmm. count. So, once we like to put things on at 225. All right, that's my thing. I'll get them on at 225, unwrapped, out of the blind. There's some different products will have some different steps involved, and some guys are going to put a lot of heat, a lot of stick in there and close their air vents. I think the key, listeners, is consistency. So if you can figure your pit out enough to know I need that much wood, and I leave those air vents that much to keep it, but you got to figure that out. And then you're always going to have that whole, man, you wake up in the middle of the night and your freaking whiskey drinks all in your lap and your fire's out, and how do I fix that? 225. And then once we get the color right, like on a rib or whatever, you wrap it up so you don't make them too dark. Aluminum foil or paper or whatever. Mm-hmm. And even butts and briskets, how briskets, when they get done, some of them are just black, very mm-hmm. unappealing. But you can taste that too. When you wrap that in paper, all the paper breathes. So you're still getting the flavor of the smoke without the dirt that's flowing through the air onto mm-hmm. your product. And you can, and once they're wrapped, now you can get a little cowboy with it, because and run it a little hotter, 250 or whatever. Like, how much time do I have? How much time do I have? Do I got to put the gas down? But if you do that with that product out of the blind, you're going to make it look ugly, and it'll affect your flavor. And whole hogs and those big shoulders were very much affected by that. I mean, you got a 200-pound hog. I got 22 hours to cook it. It's 4 degrees out. The wind's blowing 20 miles an hour. I mean, I'm doing everything I can. I got aluminum foil over the top of my chimneys blowing downwind. I mean, whatever. I got blankets over the top. I mean, you cheat, right? You run that thing as hot as you can get it, because you can pull it off and put it in the cooler and it'll be delicious. But if it's underdone, you're not making people smile. So I don't, like you heard me say, chicken I run hot. The larger the piece of meat, the more consistent you need to be. Ribs, 225. And then if you need to get them done once they're wrapped, I always cheat a little bit. And I use apple juice a lot, and you put the rib in this way, so it's a cup. Don't put the cup down, because when you get it like this, all the natural grease sits in the cup. And then you just add a little beer, you add a little moisture, and I wrap those in aluminum foil, and now they're steaming. You've got the color, you've got the flavor, and now you're chasing texture to those bones come, and that's the winner chicken dinner, where you can go like that, and you can see that bone pulling clean, You're like, oh yes, Mr. Smithers.
This is
there's different attributes you hit along the way for sure, but low and slow number one, and make sure you give yourself extra time is another piece of advice, because like I said, you can't, if you're raw, you're raw. If you're overdone or you're hot, you can always pull it out, cool it off in a cooler, and then close the lid and be ready to serve when you're time to serve.
Here's a question we were talking before we hit record here about, we were at Meat Fest and we had a lot of great questions. And one of the questions that kept on coming from our different segments was, do you pull on your ribs? Do you pull the membrane off the back or not?
200% yes.
Okay.
200%. And why, one might ask, little grasshopper? I didn't understand it in the beginning, but it's when you get down for the bite of the rib, you want to have a really good texture and experience in the bite. You get rid of that because it becomes chewy, right? I mean, even if if you cook them the way I'm talking about, I know guys that score them and cross hash them, but if you just go and you nick a corner and you get a towel or a wet paper towel and you get it with your hand, the whole thing will just come right off. It's not a big deal, and I think it makes the bite and eating experience of that rib go up. I don't know, man. 25 to 50%, depending on the cook and the rib. A big old spare rib's got a different membrane than a little baby back, but everything. It's like, do you grill your bun on a hamburger or do you not grill your bun on a hamburger? Everybody, 100% of people will tell you a toasted hamburger bun is better than an untoasted hamburger bun. So why wouldn't you pull that membrane? That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Don't be lazy.
I agree with you.
I agree with you too. I always pull. Yeah.
Don't be lazy.
Yeah.
So Johnny Rad, if we were to ask you, like, where is your barbecue mecca? Where is the place that if you had to go, you wanted the best barbecue, where would you go and why?
Besides your house.
Go to a contest.
Yeah, go to a contest.
Okay.
Go to a contest. And I'll tell you, well, let's start with, I had the fortunate experience of working for a larger company that was trying to become strong in barbecue, that I got to go on a lot of boondoggles, and we would do our research in the Carolinas. We were going to open locations up in y'all's next to the woods. We actually had a place in Madison for a while.
Oh, wow.
And we would kind of go and see what's up in these different areas to see what the customers are used to seeing. What do they see? What value will we bring? Is there something new that we need? Like, we had a place we put in Rhode Island, and we ended up having to change the sausage we served or whatever. I enjoy brisket a lot, and I enjoy Texas barbecue because there's just, Southern barbecue is a very, very different from like a Texas and Midwestern culture. The bite's different. There's a little bit of a different thing going on. So it's cool. It's cool to go up into the Carolinas and you see the whole hogs just split in half and on the rack, and the guys doing what they do, and that's super cool. But I always loved going on my Texas trips and eating the brisket and sausage and just the culture, the meat culture out there is pretty strong, and it's just that was always a good time. But you want to go to a contest, and you guys could do this. You go to Memphis, look up Memphis in May, and sign up as a volunteer, and go and just volunteer. And all you're going to do is help teams. You're going to get invited to all their parties. You're going to learn a lot. The team tent and judging tent is a party in itself. Home of the pink panty pull down. I'm just saying. There's just constant cocktail. We got hit in a rainstorm, me and my buddy, and we got stuck in this tent for like 2 hours. I think I got kicked off the trolley going back to the hotel in Memphis. I mean, it's a good time, and you're going to learn a lot of fun stuff. And as barbecue enthusiasts, these are the guys that have been through where the backyard guys have been, and they're trying to learn and create their own style and nuance and all that stuff. So contests are real good places to go, but it might take a little bit, or become a judge. Being a judge is awesome. I mean, there's bullshit out there too. Don't get me wrong, but there's some folks there's a reason they win all the time.
Good. Yeah. Oh, great advice. Great advice. That's so Johnny, we're gonna go. What we do next is kind of call our sizzle round, and it's kind of rapid fire lightning.
All right.
If you want to tell a story behind everyone, please do, because this has been phenomenal. Like, I could go on for hours with you. I have so much.
I'll try not to get too windy.
Yeah, no, you can. So and so feel some of these questions you have answered. So just revisit with our listeners. You can just throw the answer out there quickly, and we'll go on to the next one. So I'll start us off, and then Brian will go, and we'll just alternate. So we know this answer already, but just reiterate, Johnny Rad, favorite cut of meat to smoke.
Loin back rib, heavy one, heavy loin back rib.
Ooh.
And maybe a heavier brisket, 14, 16-pound brisket.
Oh, yeah.
Oof. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, your go-to rub for barbecue.
That's a good question, because a lot of rubs are very salty. So my first ingredient is usually sugar. But so you can use it on the back end. You can re-season a little more. Sugar, salt, paprika, garlic, onion powder, maybe a little thyme, cracked pepper, white pepper. But that's all your ratio. Some guys will put a little dry mustard, whatever. But I tend to make it, so I couldn't tell you what my favorite commercial rub is. So I'm gonna have to take a skip on that one.
Yeah. No, I've had your from Josiah, your coffee rub you made before, and I used to use it on a tri-tip. It was phenomenal.
That's good stuff. Now, I will also share with you, that's black stuff, brown stuff, and Pete's coffee. No, I'm sorry, black stuff, white stuff, Pete's coffee. And we started with a 50-50 black and white, and it's more now like probably 1/3, 2/3.
Okay.
And then Pete's coffee to taste. So
nice. That's good. Yeah, it's phenomenal. I'm gonna try it.
I would do that again. You got me thinking about it. I would do it with like a nice, like Cuban coffee or something like that. That's got some oof to it. That'd be delicious.
Oh yeah, it would be. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna try my own. So we'll see what happens. So let's see. Now, Johnny, do you is there any side dishes you like to prepare on your smoker?
Beans. I think beans go good. So actually, it's funny you'd ask that, because I don't have them anymore. But for years I had. I got them from South Africa. They're cheaper than Lodge, but those big black iron kettles, it doesn't matter if they turn black, right? So I'm not putting my white La Crusades in there or anything like that. But but you can cook a lot, man. You put your greens in there. You can put greens. You can put beans. You can do like regular barbecue beans, chara beans, pinto beans, black beans, whatever you want to make green beans in there from fresh. Anything you can think about camping and how like cooking on a fire.
Yep.
You can, but I'm exaggerating a bit because I'm thinking in these great big cookers too. So that might not be great for trying to fit in your Traeger.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
All right. Favorite barbecue sauce.
Okay. I don't know that I have a favorite, but I will say that the Four Rivers spicy is one of my favorites. I mean, that John did a really, really good job with that, and it's a great condiment. And that's, you talk about sauces. That's key, and that's a good way for anybody that's in a backyard situation. And you guys will appreciate this because we're all trying to do the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you have that one condiment that kind of sets things apart, that's so. Don't just work on your meat. Work on some of those condiment, whether it's as simple as the cider vinegar in a Coke bottle. It's seasoned up, and that stuff can be very, very delicious as well. When I make pulled pork, I call it like a finishing sauce or whatever, but it's basically Carolina style, just putting some acid and heat in the pork and the finish. Not a whole. I want the meat to be a hero, but be accentuated. So that'll go in there, and then the sauce on the side, and then let's see. There's some Texans are probably going to spit on me for saying this, but I think that Salt Lick Barbecue is become pretty commercial outside of Austin, but they have this yellow sauce. It's very unique. It's almost got like a very subtle curry-esque flavor to it. I like that. And then there was a store. It was called the Luling Market, and they didn't sell their sauce in a bottle or out anywhere. And I was there for work, and I drove out to Luling, and so you got to go through Lockhart, Texas, to get to Luling, Texas, and then if you've never been to Lockhart, Texas, you got to go. That's like the barbecue capital of Texas. You'll hit three of the Texas top 20 at any given year. It will be right there in Lockhart, Texas. And then you go to this little town, the Luling City Market or something. It's very unassuming, but I like their sauce. But they wouldn't sell it. So one day I stopped and I got a 12-ounce water bottle, empty. And then the next time, $3. Okay, great, good value. So I get it home, and the next time I'm out there, I'm like, So I get like a great big ass bottle of water, and I just pour it out, and they filled it up, $3. Like, all right.
That's awesome.
So I prefer thinner sauces over thicker sauces. I hate any sauce that has any kind of liquid smoke in it. Not my cup of tea. And I don't know, not too sweet, little heat.
So, Johnny, what is your preferred fuel to smoke with? What type of wood?
Pecan. Hands down, pecan. So hickory is great, right? Where I'm at in Florida, hickory's getting harder and harder to find. I mean, everybody's kind of using it up, and my primary wood guy, he just can't get enough of it. But when we competed for years, and I mean, pecan. It's kind of mild. You start getting into like oaks, and they can be stronger. It's not bad, right? It's not bad. But use a hardwood. But I like pecan.
Nice. All right. Favorite. This might be your favorite question, I'm guessing. Favorite beverage to have while you're smoking, adult or non-adult. You can choose.
Adult beverages.
Yes. Yeah. So what's your favorite? What's your favorite one?
Well, I think there was. My daily drinker nowadays is I don't drink a lot of beer anymore. I enjoy beer. I have a couple beers and then it just start getting bloated. So, I like bourbon a lot, and I'm not proud. I mean, you're just renting this stuff for the most part anyway, unless you're celebrating something. So, just a good old fashioned $24 handle of Jim Beam served me well for 60 years. Why stop now?
Yeah. Now, Go ahead. I'm sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
That was my favorite as well. It's still my favorite.
Yeah.
It's a great, easy drinker. Mix it with a little water and ice, and you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Uncomplicated.
Yeah.
So our last one here, Johnny Rad, is do you what's your do you have any go-to music when you have the smoker fired up?
That's a good one. It's probably changed over the years. Today, I listen to a lot of old school Jimmy Buffett since he's passed on.
Nice.
Everybody's heard songs by heart, but if you start going into the older stuff, you see what a great storyteller he actually was, and he's not going to ever get a Grammy or anything like that, but good stories. So it's kind of like celebrating the end of an era.
Yeah. No, he's a good. I love the older music. There's this one podcast I listen to, and they always do a segment where they have listened to lyrics, and one of the hosts talks about the background, and then you understand what the story's about, and then you hear it, and it makes a world of difference. You don't have as many good storytellers like that anymore.
And that's okay. You probably edit this out, but do yourself a favor and read Mile Marker Zero.
Mile Marker.
It'll tell you the whole story of those guys down in the Keys. They're artists, writers. Jimmy Buffett. Who's the guy from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? He was down there with them. I mean, just the whole story of where Jimmy's whole attitude came from, and quite a few of them. It's an eye opener, and you'll start picking out after reading that book. You will grab the lyrics of those songs and see what they're talking about on his album covers. It's just more good storytelling.
I love that. I love that. So, Johnny Rad, to wrap things up here, we know that we even get into some. Maybe we'll have to have you on again if you want to be. And you're off, and you have your own beef jerky company now. So maybe to end things, if you like to, if they're talk about your beef jerky company a little bit and where the fans can go ahead and order some if they can and stuff like that.
Well, to set the record straight, it's not exactly my beef jerky company. I got pulled into this as a consultant with some friends, and because my background, such a long background in meat processing, how to manage the USDA and these different things, these guys had a little mom and pop thing, and he was back up. He's a Filipino immigrant, moves to Texas, wants to become more of a Texan, subsidize his income. Culturally, Southeast Asia, jerky is very popular, and this thin style jerky is very common out there and very unique to us here in the States. We're used to lose a molar, eat some jerky. And when you have our jerky, it's like a thin crisp. So, but that's the Asian style. That's the Asian element. That's a big differentiator for us. So the daughter was watching dad and grew up, and she took the company to another level, like any good millennial Gen Z use of internet and all the stuff that's available to us today. And they're in Austin. And somehow it got in the hands of some fellows that are very avid outdoorsmen, skiers, fly fishermen. And they were sitting around in Telluride with they're going to go on these trips, and they go out and buy a bunch of bags of this stuff, and they're sitting around a fire in Telluride, and they're talking amongst them, the three key guys, and they're like, somebody's, there's a little how do you do going on, and well, somebody's got to buy this company. This stuff's fantastic. We got to blow it up, whatever. Well, a few weeks later, Robert, the guy that was flapping feathers real big, he bought the company. He bought the company from Odessa. Wow. Odessa's still there. I mean, I was working with her this morning. I'll be working with her again later today. So she does a lot of our sales. And Robert's the the owner. And then as we started to grow and saw that the reason I got brought in is to get beyond the direct to consumer thing, right? We gotta get involved with the USDA so I can sell to stores. And so I put them in touch with a co-packer. That's kind of my driving thing is I do a lot of the back end stuff with the distributors and retailers. Every production run, I go to Texas and make 1,700 pounds of jerky or whatever. And then as we continue to grow, we realize how deep the pool that we're swimming in is, and how hard and how expensive this is going to be. And the two other fellows that were sitting around that campfire are Roy and Ryan Cedars, who were the brothers that did Yeti. Oh. So Yeti Capital has become our financial partner. I mean, it's not an open checkbook. We still have to work hard and be very frugal, and we feel pain. And but we are on the cusp of some very big things. And if there's any customers or your fans that would love to become customers, because I would love that, you can visit us at www.bonkajerky.com. And you guys are in Wisconsin. We're getting ready to do a deal with a retailer. We're talking, so we're not in bed with them yet, but we're working on it. Sendrix, and I think they're in Milwaukee, like a little 18, 20 unit chain. So
Sendix. Yes.
Sendix.
Yes.
So
yes.
Give us a few months. Let us navigate our way through this and all the dating that's involved, and maybe you can run down the street to Sendix. But the website's super easy. You can get us. We ship anything from one bag to a case, and easy to get a hold of. Get a subscription. Tell me how much you want and the frequency, and it'll just show up to your door.
Yep, nice and easy. Well, definitely, I know that the Smoke Bros will be hitting it up. That's for sure. So,
okay,
for sure, we'll give it a shot. And so, yeah, if you want to come back on too and talk about some more and stuff like that, we love it.
Yeah, I'm pretty passionate about this. It was passionate enough to do it from. I mean, shoot, man, I made a living doing it for close to 20 years, so I know a thing or two about a pig.
Yes, you do.
I can cook just about anything but the squeal.
Yeah. I've did a couple of whole hogs myself. I'm not very good at it, but amateur. So I'd love to pick your brain about that too. Because I definitely need help. But I just made my own pit in the back up at my cabin and gave it a shot. So
yeah, it's fun. It's fun, but it's big. When you miss. Yeah. It's a hard miss.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Johnny Rad. I think this will be. I hope to have you on. Have you on again, because I know there's a lot more stories that could be told, and I have a lot more questions for you too as well. But to end our podcast, we always if there's anything you want to say that you can end it with, and then we like our guests to end it with "smoke on." That's kind of our catchphrase. So if you would like to say anything else to the listeners and then end it with "smoke on," we will wrap this podcast up.
All right, listeners. I've said it already, but you want to learn how to make barbecue, learn how to run a fire. Learn how to run a fire. We can all put rub on a rib, but can you run the fire that cooks the rib? And with that said, smoke on, baby.